Howdy, folks. I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Alright, folks. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Throwing My Husband's Figures Out of the House and Making Him Go to Therapy? Hang on to your seats, folks, because this is a real wild one. I'm a 29-year-old female, and my husband is a 30-year-old male, and he has an extremely concerning obsession with Star Wars. When we began dating 5 years ago, I knew he was a fan, but I didn't know the extent of it. After our engagement, his love for Star Wars seemed to worsen. He grew his hair out a little bit in the back of his head and braided it to look like a character from Star Wars, calling it his Padawan braid. I found it disgusting and begged him to get rid of it. He refused. Leading up to our wedding, I finally convinced him to chop that hideous thing off. After we married, an entire room of our house was dedicated to Star Wars. It clashed with the theme of our house, but I allowed it. So generous of OP to just allow someone who's living in a shared space to have something of their own. He had shelves of various Star Wars Lego sets, figurines, VHS tapes, and DVDs, records of the soundtracks, and ridiculously expensive lightsabers, helmets, posters all over the walls, etc. He spent more on this collection than he has ever spent on me. He hardly even cared to spend money on a decent ring. He is even attracted to some of the female characters. He had a life-size cutout of Natalie Portman, and I'd find him staring at it a lot. This has interfered with his attraction towards me. We hardly spend time together anymore. Well, months ago, I finally reached my limits with this obsession. He never wants to go anywhere with me, so I figured that I would trick him into going out with me by telling him that I would surprise him with tickets to see a concert of a live orchestra playing along the Star Wars soundtrack to the movie, which he had been wanting to go and see. He was so excited. It was the perfect way to get him out of the house. Really, I had plans for us to go to the mall and dinner, which I had made reservations for, and thought he would be happy. I know, just the disconnect here. I tricked my husband in order to get him to go to a restaurant with me, and I expect him to just be happy with it. When we were getting to the mall, he asked why we were there. I said I just wanted to go shopping with him. He said that we were going to be late for the show. I said that I'd never had actually gotten us tickets. This was when he began to cry. I told him that it was so ridiculous that a grown man was crying over not going to a show, which sparked a fight. He dropped me off at home and then drove away angrily. In the heat of the moment, I grabbed a box of the garbage bags and headed right for his Star Wars room. Dumped his entire collection into the bags, and I tossed them all into the back of our sedan and drove to a Panera Bread a few miles away. Opened the dumpster in the back and dropped the bags in. When he arrived back home and discovered this, he was furious with me. He sobbed uncontrollably and shouting, and said that he wished that he never married me. I said the feeling was mutual. I've never been anything but good to him. I just wanted to help him with his unhealthy obsession. He begged me to tell him where I had thrown the bags out, but I refused to tell him, which made him angrier. Our marriage is ruined because of this, and recently I have started making him to go to therapy. He resents me for this. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks. What do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yes, of course you're the jerk. You took your husband's prized possessions and threw them away and made sure he could not get them back.
I do not understand how someone could sleep at night knowing that they had done this to somebody that they allegedly actually love, right?
Right, like he spent so much time and money cultivating this and you just tossed it.
And OP didn't pay attention to any of the signs leading up to their relationship and marriage, right? She said, oh, well, I didn't know when we started dating how much of a Star Wars fanatic he was, right? But then, leading up to the ceremony, he was trying to push more and more of his Star Wars stuff in. That should have been your sign that maybe, just maybe, he's not going to slow down on the Star Wars stuff. And that you should take stock of whether or not you want to be in a relationship with someone who's this obsessed with Star Wars.
Well, I also like how OP is like, oh, his stuff doesn't match with our house. Like, it's who is picking this theme for your
Yeah,
house?
well, if there are spare rooms in the house and you two have shared spaces, there certainly is like room for you to negotiate and compromise about how to split up the rooms and whatnot. But if you have enough rooms, then both of you have rooms of your own, then he's entitled to do with his study as he wants, right? I mean, that's just the way shared houses work.
And if you're concerned about his interest in Star Wars, like, there's nothing wrong with suggesting therapy,
Mm-hmm.
but throwing away someone's prized possessions is going to traumatize them and
Oh,
not help
yeah,
them.
I know. I mean, it's just like you're literally trying to traumatize your husband here, and then you're forcing him to go into therapy. He does need therapy now,
Yeah.
but it's because of you.
Yeah. Well, and like, I mean, collecting things is common in neurodivergent people, so he could have an undiagnosed neurodivergence or something
I mean, he
like that.
could. It's difficult really to say given like the information that we
Oh,
have
yeah, I'm not
here.
saying for sure, but like,
And I mean, I think that this is the bigger important issue here is that OP took stuff that didn't belong to them and they threw it out and they expected their husband not to be upset by any of the
mm-hmm,
actions that they did here. And these things would upset people, like
mm-hmm.
knowing that your spouse lied to you. Like he had been so excited and so worked up for this, Star Wars concert that he'd wanted to go to, and then OP's like, "Why are you crying? I wanted you to go to dinner with you."
Well,
Instead of being an adult and just saying, "Hey, let's go to dinner," they had to lie to their husband.
she also seems to want to have nothing to do with his interests. It's like,
Yeah.
what common interests do you even have? Do you try to find mutual interests?
Well, and that's just it, is that this seems like a relationship that's kind of doomed to fail in general, but OP really took the bulldozer to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not saying that he's in the right completely, right? Because he does seem that he's not paying attention to his wife's needs and he's neglecting her for Star Wars, right? But but that is OP's opportunity to talk to them about this and say, I think we need to go into couples therapy
Mm-hmm.
and we need to work on this. Not unilaterally deciding to throw out all of his stuff because they didn't like this aspect of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that there's real crummy stuff going on here. So I just feel bad for the husband entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, take care and good luck, I guess. And Flashby says, "You're the jerk. You are incompatible and headed for divorce anyways. Tell him where his collection is and try to go out on a gracious note. If it's not already gone. Like, I hope that OP has recovered that because this is just completely unacceptable."
Mm-hmm.
And Keep Staring says, "You're the jerk. There are dozens of better ways of dealing with this than lying to him, manipulating him, and throwing everything out. He will never ever trust you again. Edit to add, you come off as incredibly controlling and demanding. This does not seem to be an equal partnership at all." All right, folks, our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for putting mistakes in my shared Google Doc notes?" And this one is just the creepiest, folks, so hang on to your seats. This is a throwaway account. I'm a 21-year-old male and I'm currently taking Organic Chemistry 1. Needless to say, the class is incredibly tough. Luckily, though, I have been studying since day one, so I'm doing alright in the class. I am taking the class with a group of friends, so I'm helping them out. I shared the personal notes that I take in class with them via a Google Doc, and I encourage them to invite anyone they know to use it. Well, recently, one of my friends invited a friend of theirs, let's call her Jess, 20, who I've never really interacted with, but I have a massive crush on. I think she and I would make a great couple, but she's not really into the sensitive smart guys because on her Instagram, I see all of her stories show her with really jock-like men. Our third exam is in a couple of days. And as I was going through the Google Docs, I realized that she was using my doc the most. You can see who looks at or edits the doc on Google Docs, and most of my other friends would pop up sometimes, but I would see her icon pop up a lot. I also know for a fact that she isn't doing well in the class, so I got a really good idea. And spoiler alert, it's not a good idea. I would put in subtle mistakes in the doc so that she wouldn't do well on the exam. And then I can offer to tutor her. That way, I can interact with her and talk to her so that she'll realize that I have a great personality. Such a great personality. You've won me over, OP. Let's go out on a date. I'm just kidding, no. And we can hopefully go out together. I told my friend about this plan, and they called me an insult jerk. Personally, I think that they're overreacting because Jess isn't going to do well either way, even if I don't put mistakes in. So my plan will actually benefit her grades, while also allowing me to interact with her and talk to her. I think this is a win-win situation for everyone. But I was wondering if my friends may have been onto something. Am I the jerk? All right, folks. What do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yes, you're the jerk. First of all, you clearly don't care about Jess because you don't sabotage people you care about. Like you're interested in the idea of having her as a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Tutoring her is not going to make her fall in love with you. Like if she's not into you, she's not into you.
Yeah, and that's really what I want to say here is that Jess and you might not be compatible, OP. Like if she likes muscular guys who are athletic, she might like them for a reason beyond just pure aesthetics. Maybe she's going out with guys that are like this because she's an avid outdoors person who enjoys doing physical things outside. And when you try getting into a relationship, you have to have things in common, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have anything in common with her and she likes going outside and hiking and you hate outdoors and you're allergic to sunlight, then it's not going to work, right? Like, that's not compatible.
Well, and I think also, it sounds like OP's barely interacted with her, so
Yeah.
he hasn't even tried like talking to her or
It's
asking
like,
her out or
it's-
offering to tutor her.
Instead of being an adult
Mm-hmm.
and approaching her without all this rigmarole involved, he could just have gone up to her and been like, hey, I see you're using the Google Sheet a lot. I'm not trying to like intrude or anything, and I was wondering if you wanted some additional help. I mean, I'm willing to offer my knowledge if you need it. And then just trying and seeing if she's open to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to make her come groveling to you to get help or anything like that, or
Mm-hmm.
make her grades worse. And like your whole attitude of like she's gonna do poorly anyways, well, she's gonna do worse if you've polluted the spreadsheet with bad data.
Mm-hmm.
And like this isn't, if you don't want everyone to use it and don't want people to use it freely, then don't offer it as a service, right? And certainly don't put mistakes in it to sabotage not only her, but your other classmates
Mm-hmm.
who are also using this sheet. So yeah, it's a real unethical thing and it's pretty gross. And then, oh, one more thing. Presumptuous of you to assume that jock-like men also can't be nice and sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
because you sure aren't acting nice or sensitive here,
Mm-hmm.
right, OP? This is not the way someone who's nice or sensitive or compassionate or kind treats another human being. And yeah, people who are muscular, it doesn't mean that they have to be jerks here. And people who aren't, and I'm assuming that OP isn't, you know, it doesn't mean that they're immediately like sensitive and nice, right? It just means that you are choose to not exercise over other things, other activities. So yeah. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Unless you
Or
want
not.
or not. Yeah. I mean, I certainly don't wish you good luck in the dating realm with Jess here.
Yeah, she deserves someone who doesn't want to sabotage her.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that you need to go to your room and put your nose in the corner for a little while.
Go to therapy.
Go to therapy. Work out your problems here. There's a lot to unpack here. I feel certainly bad for OP, and I'm not trying to like paint them as like the worst person in the world, but certainly they have some deep problems that they need to work through, and they need to become a better person. They need to
Yeah.
become the best version of themselves.
Yeah, well, and you need to care about other people if you want to date them.
Yeah.
Not just yourself, because you just seem very self-absorbed.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that I think that's well said. Well said. And Narkareth says, "You're the jerk. This cannot be real. Consider the following phrase. I like you, so I'll harm you, so I can save you. Just so you can view me as a hero." This is straight up supervillain logic. It's more like a self-centered version of the plot to Unbreakable. And Huntress of the Moon says, so just to be clear, you want to intentionally sabotage someone's grade in a course that they're spending money on, manipulate a woman into spending time with you, use studying as a cover to hit on a woman who has shown no interest in you, and Insult Jerk is the right call, and I hope that your friends warn this woman about you. You're the jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I do actually hope that they warn them because this is just so gross.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. And to round the evening off, this one isn't as bad as the first two, but it's still kind of weird. So, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Studying Abroad with My Son? As you can see, already weird. I'm a 61-year-old female, and my husband, a 63-year-old male, and I have a son who's a 20-year-old male, and has recently been accepted into a nice study abroad program in Japan. We're very excited for him to have this opportunity, but we also want him to be safe. This would be his first time ever staying away from home, let alone out of the country. And after all, he would be in a foreign country all by himself with minimal skills with the language. Our plan is to rent an apartment or stay in a hotel where we could all stay as he attends classes and returns back just for sleeping and eating. If push comes to shove, because I understand that he wants to feel that he is doing this by himself, his dad and I could just stay in a hotel or apartment while he lives in the dorms. But at least we would be close by and could meet up for dinner whenever he wants. But that's just a backup, as I'm not crazy about the idea of him living with strangers that he can't communicate with. It would also work out great for my husband and I, as we love to travel and could have the experience of immersing ourselves in a new country for almost half a year. My son is fine with the idea, but when we told our daughter, a 25-year-old female, she was under the impression that it was just my son going. When we told her that we were going too, but giving him a reasonable enough space to explore safely and independently, she said that we shouldn't go. To me, it's absolutely about safety. Am I the jerk for going with our son on his semester abroad? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I mean, if your son genuinely doesn't care, I wouldn't say it's a jerk issue, but I would say don't do it. Your son needs time. He's an adult. He needs independence and to be able to live his life for himself.
So, I would say, even if their son is all right with it, their son probably isn't all right with
Well,
it.
that's the thing. Like, I know the son, it's probably not what the son wants. So, like, if he genuinely, in his heart of heart, beyond every shadow of a doubt, doesn't care, but he probably does care.
OP, cut the cord. There is a certain point in time in life when your child needs to grow up. They are going to be in a foreign country, but it's going to be a very controlled environment. You need to allow them to have the space and freedom to go and live their life as they want to. And that involves them going and being in potentially scary situations. You can't protect them forever. That's what the first 18 years of their life is for, is teaching them the skills that they need to be successful in the world. And if you've done a good job, then they should hopefully be all right, at least be able to get by. So I know that you're a concerned parent, and I think that this is certainly a valid fear and worry of yours. I'm not saying that it isn't, but they need to be able to figure out life on their own, and that involves being independent.
Yeah. And not to make things worse, but bad things can happen to people anywhere.
Oh yeah,
So like it's not I know it feels risky to Newt, but it's not really any more risky than other college experiences.
exactly, exactly. You can't babysit your child forever here. Not that you babysit your child, mind you. So anyhow, take care and good luck, and please pick another country to visit for 6 months. Enjoy Wave says, you're the jerk. Y'all are smothering your son. He may be fine with it, but you and your husband are going to prevent him from getting a true study abroad experience. You are treating him like a child. Your son would not be the first kid to leave the country for the first time for a study abroad program. I'm sure there are plenty of people that will be there to help him. They wouldn't just let him roam around throughout Japan with zero guidance. Have faith in him, or else he won't have faith in himself. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea here and I picked it out myself. Amber's got a joke.
What do librarians do to relax?
What do librarians do to relax? Well, if I were a librarian and I wanted to relax, I would hunt down all of those people who stole my books, and I would recover my book hoard and make them pay. That's how I would relax.
All right. We know who not to hire at the library. Are you a dragon by any chance? I was
No.
getting serious dragon hoarding coins vibes from that. They feel a tome.
Oh. That's a very odd one.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a stretch. I
Mm-hmm.
think them hunting down those people who have stolen books from the library is a far more relaxing activity. And I have licorice spice. Also, if you're a librarian and you get the sense that you need to hunt down people who've stolen books, this is just a gag. Please don't do that. And don't come complaining to me when things don't go that well. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving us a like, and if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching. Happy, what day of the week is it? Friday.
Friday.
Oh my goodness, it's Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Happy Friday, everyone. You can see it's been a long week for me. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
I'm sure that there are plenty of people that will be there to help him. They would just let your son. Oh, they would just let your son roam around Japan by himself. He's forever doomed. All right, folks. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Studying Abroad? Wait, that's not the right story.